Hey, you alright? Welcome to another video. If you haven't been here before, my name is Georgie Jo and this is my channel where I talk all things books. So today, or this week, I'm going to be trying to read 200 pages every day for the next 7 days. Hopefully I can manage it and get all 200 pages read every day. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but fingers crossed I'll be able to do it. No, I will be able to do it. I'm going to get it done. So, first book I'm going to read, I actually started this yesterday, so I read my 200 pages yesterday, but just honestly kind of forgot to film. So I thought I'll just do my intro today and then talk through what I've been reading. So I read the 200 pages yesterday, and that was of Bear Town by Frederick Bachman. So I'm actually on page 205, so I got 204 pages read yesterday. Obviously I'll get another 200 read today, so I've literally just got in from work and thought I would start filming this. So up to now in Bear Town, I don't really know what to expect. I feel like I've seen people read this book and they've cried and they've been very sort of emotional whilst reading it, and I'm not really getting that yet. So basically the book is set in a small town that's called Bear Town, and it's a town that's sort of in the middle of nowhere. It's like in the middle of a forest. It's kind of forgotten about. People don't really go there unless you live there type thing. A lot of people have left because the economy is not very good and it's always like freezing, and yeah, it's just a very small town that kind of keeps itself to itself. But they are also an ice hockey town, like very into the ice hockey, like they take it very serious, and most people in the town are invested in the ice hockey. So in the school, they've got a juniors team and an A team, and the juniors team are playing a semi-final of the like league or whatever, the tournament, which is like major. They're hoping if they manage to win it and then they manage to win the final, it's gonna bring loads of like publicity to the town and boost the economy, and it's gonna really help them. So there's like a lot of pressure on these kids to win this final. So we're kind of just following all the residents. At first I thought we were just going to be following three sort of main families. Like one of them is like the Kevin, who is like he's like the best player on the juniors team, the ice hockey team, and like this whole thing is sort of resting on his shoulders. He's like so good compared to the rest of the team and the rest of the lads that play on it. And then we had Amat, who plays for the boys team because he's 2 years younger, but he's like trying his best. He really wants to be like the best of the best. And then we have Maya, who is the daughter of Peter, who's the general manager of the ice hockey teams. So I thought at first we were just going to be following those three, but you're actually kind of constantly being introduced to new characters and new residents in the town. So it does feel like you are getting like a full picture of everyone that lives there. Everyone's kind of associated with hockey one way or another, whether they played, they're married to someone that played, they've got a son that plays, or like a sibling that plays, or they've just gone to watch it the whole life. Like everyone is so invested in this, and yeah, we're following their lives. A lot of things are happening to the characters, like a lot of traumatic things have happened that you're learning about or are currently happening. It's very up and down. I'm not really sure kind of what to expect, honestly. I didn't massively go into the book with any expectations, but the first page, I'm just going to read the first page to you because it's literally very short. It says, late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how we got there. So that's how it starts. So you kind of, when I'm reading it, I'm kind of just waiting for this like murder to happen. I think we're a little bit away from it yet. I'm not actually 100% sure what month it's currently set in, but obviously the murder's not happened yet. So yeah, I'm kind of just like on hooks. I'm like, who is it gonna be? It's constantly sort of making you suspicious of people, like, oh, that kid's gonna be the one that does it, you know, he's gonna have lost the plot, and you can understand how sort of he's got to that moment, or she's got to that moment. But then something happens and you think, oh no, it won't be them, it'll be this person, and it's just constantly, I'm guessing who's going to be the murderer and then who's going to be murdered. I don't know if the murder happens at the end of this book. I'm assuming so, because this is the first one in a trilogy. I genuinely no idea. So yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, just got in from work, so I'm gonna get my 200 pages read. I'm gonna get something to eat first and then start my 200 pages. And this book, I think it's just over 400. Oh, it's so hard when you're looking at pages. I don't want anything to be spoiled for me. It's 415 pages, so I'll probably just finish it. I can't imagine I'll get that far and be okay with leaving like 10 pages, so I'll probably just finish it today. So yeah, that's the challenge for this week. First day done, ticked off, managed to get 200 pages read. I was hoping on my lunch today I was gonna get a bit of a head start, but I just didn't have time to. I didn't manage to get, I've not read anything today. So 200 pages starting from page 205, and like I say, it's 415 pages, so today's total will hopefully be 210. So yeah, let's just get back to reading. Okay, I have literally just finished Bear Town. Obviously I've taken the dust jacket off, but it is currently just turned 11 o'clock. Not many books will keep me away from my bed. You know what I mean? Not many books will make me want to stay up past my usual bedtime. And I know I'm doing the challenge and I was gonna get my 200 pages read, but I actually wanted to stay up and carry on reading. I'm not sure I fully understand how I feel about this book yet, especially towards the end when I was reading it. You know, when you are really enjoying a book but you really want to know what happens, and you literally have to cover the page from stopping yourself from like spoiling it, from reading ahead. That's what I was like with this book. I'm literally got it open on my knees and I'm holding the pages so that I don't ruin it for myself. That's how much I was like wanting to know what had happened, but also wanting to experience the whole book. Like I say, I'm not really sure what my feelings are on it. I feel like it's just not what I was expecting in like a really good way, but I don't think I had any expectations going into this book, but I definitely wasn't expecting the book to be how it is, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think I might need to sit on it like overnight and then fully let you know my feelings in the morning when I've like processed what's just happened. Good morning. So let's talk about Bear Town. I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I feel like I can't give it anything less. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I've been thinking about it overnight and through the morning, and yeah, I think that's gonna be my rating. I just think the book, the way it sort of depicts like being human, there is just so much happening around these kids from this town throughout the whole book, and they're having to grow up so quick. They're having to deal with things that they shouldn't have to be dealing with as kids, you know, and it forces them to sort of mature quicker than they should do. But then there's moments of just such innocence that remind you that they are just children, you know. I think the characters just felt so real. Like I felt like I really knew them, and I think the way Frederick Bachman writes characters and the way he tells a story, I honestly feel like it was pretty close to perfect in my opinion. I think the way that he can portray people's emotions that are going through different experiences and that have got such different feelings, and I just think it's incredible the way you can write that. I think it takes such an immense amount of empathy to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and write about their, obviously the fictional characters, but writing about an experience that you yourself have never experienced and are never going to experience. Because, you know, he's talking about like how mothers are feeling and how women are feeling, how young girls are feeling. They're just things that he's never going to experience. He can only do it from hearing other people, or, you know, recounting things that he hears, and to be able to portray it in such a way that feels so real. I just think that takes so much empathy, and I think that's really like a commendable trait of someone. I also really enjoyed that a lot of this book is just a massive grey area. Like, I think we like to think that things are so black and white, but if you were in the shoes of a lot of these characters, how would you react? You know, I think it would be a really good book to buddy read or to read as part of a book club, because I think there's so much to discuss. Like, I'm upset that I've not got someone to like discuss it with, you know, to say like if you was in those shoes, how do you think you would react? Like, Do you think it would test your loyalty to people, your morality, your love, your logic? Do you think it would all go out the window? Like, you know, I just think it would be a really good book to read with a group of people, so you could just all talk about it. Also, I enjoyed that this book made me feel every emotion under the sun. Like, I was so frustrated at moments. I was filled with rage in others. I felt the love from the characters. I felt happy in moments. I felt teary in others. I just think it genuinely pulled so many different emotions out of me, and that's exactly what I'm looking for in a book. I want it to make me feel something, you know. So yeah, I kind of felt exhausted last night after reading it. Obviously it was late anyway, but I just think I went through so many emotions. It was, honestly, it's like a roller coaster that I couldn't even, I had to process it before I could talk about it. But yeah, overall really enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading the other two books in the trilogy and seeing sort of what else happens in this town. Where's the story gonna go? What's gonna happen with the characters? I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, Bear Town I'm gonna give 5 stars to. Would definitely recommend. So as for today's 200 pages, I think I'm going to read Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Bayron. So this is the last Kaylin Bayron book that I've got to read until her new one comes out. Not that it's part of a series, but I've been going through her like backlist. She does have a couple of children's books. I think it's called Vanquishers, but I probably won't read those because they're just, I think they're a bit too young, you know, and I'm definitely not the target audience for them. But yeah, so I'm gonna start Sleep Like Death today. I am going to try and get some reading done this morning before work, because I think it's just gone 7 o'clock now. I start work at 8, so I'm gonna try and get a bit of reading done now, and then on my lunch, and then after work. Hopefully I won't be up until 11 reading again today, but we'll see. I'm gonna try and get a head start with it, get some pages done throughout the day, and then hopefully I can have the 200 pages read before too late tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna start with Sleep Like Death. Okay, I've just jumped out the shower and was about to carry on reading Sleep Like Death until I remembered I didn't even do an update yesterday. So I got my 200 pages read. I started reading it before, so I'm on page 202, but the chapter 13 literally stopped on page 200, so that was very good timing for me. So yeah, I got my 200 pages read. So this book is basically following Eve, who is a princess. She's the daughter of the queen, but she's been sort of trained and grown up her whole life to be the queen's guard. She's only 16 and her 17th birthday is just around the corner, and she starts to see the queen sort of acting really stranger. She's being really elusive. She's like keeping secrets, which she doesn't normally do. And then one day she sees her, who is obviously her mum, sees her talking to a mirror, and she's thinking, has my mum lost the plot? You know, there's like rumours going around the queendom that she's lost the plot, she's losing it, she's going crazy, and Eve needs to figure out why. And in this world, the sort of villain is called the Knight, and he has these like magical powers where he's kind of an evil genie basically. So people go to him with like their most wanted, like the things that they desire the most in the world, and he makes it happen, but for a price, and the price is usually way more than what the desire was worth, you know. He tends to make their life like way worse. Also, I should mention, Eve has some kind of magical power. So in a lot of Kaylin Bayron's books, there's some kind of magical element in them. Usually like the main lead or something will have some kind of connection to magic, and in this one the Knight obviously does, because he makes these wishes come true, and also Eve does. She basically has sort of a connection to nature, so she can kind of sense how animals are feeling by the noises that they're making, or she kind of almost can hear what they're thinking, but not literally, but kind of can pick up on how they are feeling. But she can also manipulate like weather and darkness, like the night sky, and she's kind of like a lightning wielder, like can make weapons out of fire, like flame swords and things like that. She can just manipulate anything that's kind of like a natural being, if that makes sense. So yeah, so one day she ends up meeting this stranger called Nova who claims to be a messenger of the night, and she finds out all these like secrets that her mum has been keeping for her, and where the mirror comes into play and things like that. So it's just following that whole storyline. I'm very much enjoying it so far. It definitely reads like YA. I would say it's definitely a young audience. I think most of Kailyn Bayron books are, I think, but not necessarily in a bad way. Like, doesn't read too young. There's definitely still elements of it that are, you know, that don't seem like I'm reading a child's book, which I know YA isn't a children's book, but sometimes you can get a YA book that feels really young and you think, I am not the target audience for this. And then sometimes you can get a YA book that maybe is a bit more new adult rather than young adult, if that makes sense. So yeah, very much enjoying it so far. I love the magical aspect of it. I'm looking forward to it delving a bit deeper into that. And the story is like, obviously I'm fully in the story now. We're 200 pages in. I don't actually know how many pages are in this book. There are 342 pages. I don't know why in my head I thought there was 400. So I'll get 142 pages of this read today and finish it, and then start a new book later on. But yeah, obviously very much in the story. Don't know what's going to happen with Eve, with the Queen, with the Knight, with Nova, the Knight's messenger. I am really looking forward to it. I feel like I'm very hooked. That's why I just sat down, start reading it, and I thought, oh shit, I've not actually done an update. So yeah, gonna carry on reading it now. Probably read for a couple of hours. Might even get it finished in a couple of hours. Actually, that's maybe a bit generous. I probably won't get 140 pages read in a couple of hours. But anyway, I'll definitely get it read today and then I'll start a new book. So yeah, gonna carry on reading now and see what the ending is like. So I've just finished Sleep Like Death and I enjoyed that. I thought it was a really good ending. I don't know how I didn't realise it when I read the first like 200 pages, but it's very much loosely based on a fairy tale. I won't tell you which fairy tale because it doesn't kind of say anything about it on the back, so I went into it obviously blind, not knowing it was about that, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I love that Kailyn Bayron has written the book called Cinderella is Dead, which is obviously also loosely based on a fairy tale, and the fact that she can completely reimagine a story that most people will know, but reimagine it in a way that's very unexpected. I think it's such a talent because you're still completely hooked to so many new things happening, even though you know the story, if that makes sense. You know the fairy tale. I just think it's such a talent. It's so cool that she has the imagination to do that. So yeah, I did enjoy Sleep Like Death. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I do think there were moments where you can definitely tell. I think I said earlier that I thought it was maybe just above YA, but actually as I was reading it I was thinking it's very much like the author holds your hand the whole way through. You know, everything's very much explained to you. There's not really much left that you have to figure out, you know, so which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes it's really nice to read a book that you can just enjoy. You don't have to really use much of your brain to read it, you know, you can just escape into the world. So yeah, not necessarily a bad thing at all, but I know some people don't like that in books. They like to have to work things out themselves. I like a mixture personally, but yeah, it definitely is directed at a younger audience than I am, but I still very much enjoyed it. I really liked the world, very much liked the characters, and yeah, the storyline kept me hooked. It's not necessarily completely like surprising. There's no massive twists and turns. It kind of is predictable in the way that you don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen, but you can kind of guess where the story's going to go, you know. So in moments it does feel a little bit predictable, but again I think that's indicative of the fact it's a YA book. So yeah, I think if you enjoy YA fantasies you're going to enjoy it, but if that's something you don't enjoy, it's not the book for you. But yeah, for me, I enjoyed it. Sleep Like Death by Kailyn Bayron. I am going to give it 4 stars, so would definitely recommend it. And then that was 142 pages read today, so obviously I've still got 58 pages left. So I've decided I want a little bit of a change, so I've read Bear Town and I've read Sleep Like Death, and I think I'm in the mood for a bit of a romance. So this book is on my summer TBR, and I feel like I want to get it read before the weather completely changes and it's like we're proper in autumn, you know. We're in a bit of a heat wave again at the moment, so I think it's more of a summer book. And it is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I don't really know much about this book. I just know it's had very conflicting views. Some people really enjoy it, some people don't think it's like her other books, some people don't even think it should be under the genre of romance, so I don't really know what to expect. I do think a lot of Emily Henry's books, they're not like fluffy romance books, they are sort of contemporary romance, would it come under, I guess, where maybe romance / literary fiction books, but they are heavily romance obviously, but I do think they're not just like fluffy romances. So yeah, maybe this one's going to be leaning even more so towards literary fiction with romance in it. I don't really know, I honestly don't know what to expect, but this is what we're going to read. So I'm going to get my 58 pages read today. Obviously with it being a hardback book, it takes longer to read even though it's the same amount of pages. So I mean, this is 416 pages, but obviously if this was in a paperback it would probably be, I don't know, 500 maybe, I don't really know, but there would be more pages, it would be a thicker book, so therefore it obviously takes longer to get through each page. But anyway, 416 pages, so take me over 2 days to read. Well, we've only got 58 pages today, so it'll be over 3 days. But yeah, I'm gonna start it now and read my 58 pages and then carry it on tomorrow, and I'll give an update when I've got some thoughts and feelings on it. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, this challenge was a big fat fail. It was a big fat fail. We're currently Friday, it's Friday today, but a week later, like the next Friday, when this challenge was meant to finish on Tuesday I think it was, it's now the following Friday. And yeah, it was a big fat fail. I did not do 200 pages. I can't remember even what the last clip was. Maybe it was Saturday, might have even been Friday, honestly I can't remember. But I did not get 200 pages read every day. Over the past 5 days or whatever it's been, I have finished A Great Big Beautiful Life. I didn't film any kind of update when I was in the middle of it, and yeah, I just completely failed. But I thought I would do an update of the book and like round off the video, so I'll have to try this again in a few months and try and do 200 pages a day. I did think at first I was just gonna scrap the video and not do it, but you know, this is realistic. Like it's difficult to read 200 pages a day when you've got a full-time job and the weekends are filled with, you know, seeing family and getting shit done around the house and your food shop and even just doing nothing for a little bit. So yeah, I thought I'll still put the video out and I'll just try again in a few months of doing the 200 pages a day for a week. So yeah, when it comes to Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, I think I'm going to give this 3 stars, I think. So basically this book is 2 rival writers find this woman, Margaret Ives, who is a bit of a socialite, I guess she would be called. Now she's a lot older, she's in her 80s, and she's kind of disappeared from the media for however many years. But her family, she grew up very much in the limelight, and her family are very tabloid, you know, they were always in the press, a bit like Kardashian vibes, you know. But they made the money through, I think the great-grandfather made the money through mining, I think it was. And then it's just like generational wealth type thing. And she was like tabloid princess, this Margaret Ives, when she was younger. And then she disappeared from the press and she just escaped and no one knew where she was. No one knew, you know, was she still alive? What happened to her? And then everyone just kind of forgot about her, really, which is what she wanted. And then she decides one day that she wants to write a book. She wants a book to be written about her life. She wants her truth to be told, because obviously we all know the newspapers are not accurate representations of people's real lives. So she wants to tell her truth and her story from her side. So she gets these 2 writers, who are our 2 main leads, in to decide only one of them's going to get the job, basically. But they're kind of competing for Margaret to choose them over the period of a month. They've got a month to kind of get to know her and to decide if they want a job, but also to let Margaret decide which one out of the two she wants to write it for her, basically. So you've got a mixture of half of the book is very much romance between the two rival writers, and then half of the book is this mystery around the Ives family and their fortune and them as people. And the romance part, when Margaret wasn't kind of in the picture and it was just the two main leads, I really enjoyed their romance. I enjoyed reading about it. I enjoyed their like banter between them, the rivalry. I liked reading their two characters. But then when it came to the mystery part and everything about the Ives family, I just find myself not really caring. I wasn't really that bothered about her story. It very much gave me the same energy as Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where they're writing about her life. And I actually DNF'd that book, so it makes sense that I didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't care. I wasn't bothered. I don't care about this family, you know. Not in like a mean way. I wasn't bothered about finding out about her past and things like that, and why she decided to disappear, and what happened in her personal life, and what was true and what wasn't in the papers. I just wasn't bothered. So I think that's why I'm only going to give it 3 stars, because it was just very much in the middle for me. Very much. I really enjoyed the romance part of it, but wasn't really bothered about this mystery around the family. So yeah, 3 stars to be fair might be being a little bit generous, to be honest, but that's what I'm going to put it down on Goodreads as, 3 stars. Maybe 2.5, maybe it should be. But I did feel like I wanted to carry on reading it. Like, I was gripped in the story, but I just didn't feel like I was really that bothered, you know. I don't know if I'm really making sense, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. So that was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and that obviously is the end of today's video. Like I say, I will try again and do the 200 pages a day. It just was a failure, a big fat failure this time around, but I will try again and we'll succeed next time, you know. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. That's what we're gonna do. So yeah, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did and you'd like to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. But other than that, I will see you in a bit.